Hello and welcome back to the Real and the Rest of and to another edition of AEW Collision Out. A huge match took place in the Hart Cup tournament with Samoa Joe and CM Punk facing off. We also saw Ricky Starks taking his former tag partner Powerhouse Hobbs, Jay White and Juice Robinson faced FTR in a tag title elimination match too. But we started things off on the show with Starks versus Hobbs, obviously a big match to kick off the show. And the show opened with some backstage promos for that, but led to CM Punk coming up to grab a mic and speak his mind. He talked about the Hart Cup tournament and how none of this would be happening if it wasn't for Owen. Gave a great speech before the show started, followed by a short video recapping Joe Punk. But yeah, really hyped start to that. But the first match tonight between two former tag partners who became British rivals, Hobbs and QTV crew with him as he faced Starks in the semi-final bout. Starks tried to corner Hobbs for some right hands, but he used the big man, used his power to get out of the situation, which felt slightly miscalculated early on. But once they got their bearings right in their initial feud and they found their chemistry again, even every time it seemed the former FTW champion was making a comeback, Hobbs were putting right back down on the mat. The match had a steady pace and was more about Hobbs methodically inflicting damage than he could squeeze in as many moves as he could. It helped Starks to move like an underdog, so whenever he could get the upper hand, the crowd would benefit as it worked so well as when he started to make some progress. All we were was distracted by QT Marshall, so Hobbs got the win, so it gave Starks enough time to recover and hit the spear. Hobbs was irate and pushed Martin to the mat when he tried to explain himself. He delivers a spine buster to Aaron Solo before Hardy Cameron threw herself in front of QT to save him from Hobbs' wrath. And yeah, this gets 7 out of 10 for me. This was a really good start to the show. Really enjoying the tension there and definitely an interesting storyline. I think the right one as well. And yeah, just a brilliant match with two guys with really good chemistry to kick off the match. So yeah, good stuff. 7 out of 10 for me. Good stuff. Julia Hart was in action against local talent to make up the time for the Will Athena match, which had to be called off. Julia Hart took on a local competitor named Bambi. Hart was given up a lot of the size and power to her opponent, but she used her quickness and to take her down before slamming her into the mat with no regard for her well-being. And one by submission in just a minute. It's short, but Hart looked great and defeating a much larger competition with relative ease. And Jake, 5 out of 10. Obviously, it's just there to fit it in. Did a solid enough job. Obviously, it's only ever going to be that. But yeah, I mean, considering the cancellation to put it together in short time, it was just there really, but yeah, still a good job. FTR then took on Juice Robinson and Jay White, the third match of the night, and the crowd were heavily in favour of FTR as expected. Harwood and Switchblade started things off for the team and they gave some trash talking and standard lockup. They had a great exchange of takedowns and counters that earned a round of applause from the live crowd. The crowd popped again with all four men coming to stand off and gun fighting, just hit simultaneous Germans and send us into break. The champions had momentum and the crowd on their side for a long while before White helped turn the tide in favour before attacking Weir's Robinson gives some room. This was a great back and forth match that looked like they showcased both teams well. FTR looked like fighting champions. The Bullet Gold looked like opportunistic heels. They were given 3 segments of the match. They had plenty of time to tell the story. After several close calls and near falls, Robinson barely managed to get the pin on the hole before Wheeler was able to break it up. It was outstanding and definitely worth taking time to watch if you haven't seen it live. And yeah, obviously sets up a really thrilling rematch for the titles. Finally is kind of what I want to see Bullet Club Gold doing, and they finally got the opportunity here. And yeah, this was really great stuff on the whole. So yeah, it gets an 8 out of 10 from me. Next up on Collision, we saw Scorpio Sky in action against Action Andretti, kind of like a bit of a filler match before the main event. But yeah, the former TNT champion used his veteran experience to counter a lot of moves and Action and Andretti tried, especially during the first couple of minutes. Both men worked as babyface, the crowd were definitely on Sky's side. Andretti wasn't being booed, but the cheers could only really be heard for Sky's offense. The 25-year-old was able to gain control after a commercial break, but Sky blocks means a pair of needs to regain control and hit the TKO for the win. This is exactly the kind of match Sky needed to reassert himself. He and Andretti had decent chemistry, and yeah, it's a fun match. Sky getting the win. I think probably the right decision. Hopefully can reinvigorate him. But there is time for our main event. Samoa Joe v CM Punk in the semi-final of the Hart Cup tournament. Obviously long-term friends, rivals. The second city saviour was doing his best to avoid Joe's strikes early on by employing a stick and me strategy. It worked for a while, and even though Joe getting a little frustrated with each miss, the story they were telling in this match was that Punk was new to strategies he used during the first 3 counts and the RH didn't work, so he was trying different tactics, and unfortunately for him, Joe hadn't seen it at all. And once the Samoan submission machine had him covered and cornered, Punk suffered a barrage of short punches to face the centre down to the mat. They paced themselves, so each sequence became more and more competitive. When Joe cancels the GTS and knocks in the crossface, Punk really sold the possibility of him tapping out, but was able to break free. In a somewhat surprising but logical finish of the match, Punk was able to win and with vitriol and pinning combination instead of one of his finishes. Not only does this make a lot of sense based on their previous encounters, but it also leaves room for a bigger rematch down the line. Joe was clearly made, but he lost, extending his hand to Punk as a sign of respect. Punk shook it, but that allowed Joe to grab him in the cookie in the clutch and choke him out. FTR ran down to prevent Joe from using a steel chair. The show ended with Starks on stage looking at Punk and FTR in the ring. And yeah, this gets an 8 out of 10 for me. Really loves the hype. The storytelling at the end of it was really great as well. On the whole, brilliant stuff. Punk had to win here, but I thought the storytelling, match quality as well, history as well, all combined to make a really great set score. And yeah, 8 out of 10 from me. Overall, AEW Collision gets a 7 out of 10 from me. On the whole, I thought it was a really good episode of Collision. Once again, for the Saturday Night Wrestling, it's just been a really fun time so far. I think AEW Collision has made a really solid start in terms of quality matches and shows to kick it off. And the main event was great as well. Lots of actions throughout the card as well. So yeah, gonna have a great show. But anyway, guys, that is it really. Thanks very much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, don't forget to comment over daily wrestling news and subscribe to the channel. It's going to be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.